Hey guys, back to my channel. My name's Charlotte. I uploaded some messages from the Divine Masculine earlier today. I do explain in that video why I was doing these, but if you haven't watched that one already, please do go and see if there's a message for you there. Basically, I was guided to do this by one of my spirit guides who works with me specifically for tarot. His name's Arthur. It came up in one of my collective readings that a lot of divine masculines are waking up this year, post-blood moon. And yeah, he's asked me to separate the court cards from one of my decks so that we can choose a card for both the divine masculine, who the message is from. This will be on the left, and a court card for the divine feminine, who the message is for, and this will allow us to see which star sign is applicable, so that you can, if the star signs match you and your twin flame, you can get a bit more clarity on whether it's a message for you directly. So the divine masculine court card will be on the left, the divine feminine on the right. I'm going to pull a few cards, and then I'm going to channel my messages from Arthur as well. So this is just messages from the divine masculine to the divine feminine. What does he want you to know? What does he need to say to you? And I may do a video for divine feminines. I'm not guided to do that now. I've specifically been asked to do this by my guide Arthur for messages from the divine masculine. So yes, let's go. As I said, if you want a bit more information, it's probably better to watch the first video I uploaded earlier today. There were quite a few messages on there. I think I did about 40 minutes worth, but I felt really guided to do some more. I didn't feel like I was finished. So yes, in the tarot, the court cards are assigned a star sign. So I felt like this would be a really useful way. It was actually Arthur's idea. I can't take the credit for it, but it makes sense. Okay, so let's do the first one. So we have the Knight of Stones, which is a Virgo. So it's a Virgo divine masculine, a message to his divine feminine, who is a Cancerian. So if you're a Virgo divine masculine, if your twin flame is a Virgo divine masculine and you are Cancerian, this message may be for you. Now, if I do pause for a moment or go really silent, that's because I'm channeling Arthur, so please be patient with me. And the cards are just to help with those messages as well. So we'll be reading the cards too. Okay, so let's see what the Virgo divine masculine has to say to his Cancerian. Oh, how lovely! This card came up in one of the other messages. That's the Ten of Cups. Beautiful, happy, joyful card. Oh, we've also got the Queen of Cups, which is the same as this one. The Cancerian lady. So that I'm using a different deck for the actual readings, so they may come up again. And Three of Pentacles. I could be wrong, but I swear to God the cards came up in this order for one of the other messages. I'll have to go back and check. Okay, so this is a really lovely lineup. Your divine masculine wants you to know that he, this is about you, Cancerian lady. Actually, do you know what? I should point out the divine masculine and feminine doesn't necessarily have to be male and female. I will refer to them as man, woman, he, she, but it could be woman, woman, man, woman, trans woman, whatever works for you. If you relate to the divine masculine, then that's fine, and vice versa. So, sorry, I'm just listening to Arthur. He sees you and he's coming for you. He's doing this spiritual work. And you've been really patient. This has been part of the process. I'm really certain these cards came up earlier, and I don't know if it was the same star signs. So we've got the Ten of Wands here and the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so this is really powerful. So Arthur is telling me that this gentleman has been working behind the scenes to connect with this. This is what he desires. This is what he desires. He understands the connection. He understands its powerful, transformative power. Even if he's not communicated this to you, he gets it. And he has his eye on you and you alone. You don't need to be worried. I feel like if you've been out of touch, there may have been some concern there over his feelings, but they are strong. And he is doing a tremendous amount of work right now. He's almost done with that. He's really stepped into his power. And I really see you two working together. We've got the Three of Pentacles here. And, this is a card of teamwork. And, there's a lot of connectedness here. I don't know if you are actually in communication on... You are in touch already. There's something in both of your lives that you need to release before you can come into union. And I feel like all the work that the Divine Feminine has done in this situation has allowed this union to come to fruition. This couple has been on this journey for a long time. They've been working towards it for a long time. And this Virgo gentleman, he's really stepped into his power. I feel like it's taken him a long time, and he wants you to know that he's so grateful for your patience. He wants you to know that you're nurturing, you're caring, the healing you've been sending him, the work you've been doing. He feels it, and he's stepping into that work himself. He wants you to know the wait is over. You have important work to do together. I feel like you're both... this is very similar to a message that came up earlier. Let me just check if it's not the same. It's not the same people. I feel like you already both work in the care sector. I'm feeling maybe even a hospital or a care home, or caring. Yeah. You care for people, you help them recover. You were like in you're in an environment where you help people. One of you is in a hospital. The other cares, but indirectly. So I'm feeling like the Divine Feminine works in a hospital. She cares for people already. And the Divine Masculine, okay, so he's caring in a different way. I feel like this Divine Masculine has awakened fairly recently, and he's always had you in his heart and in his mind, but right now you are on his mind all the time. And he's been doing this work, he's been putting this work in, and I feel like he's very, very much drawn to your very caring, nurturing energy, and he feels compelled to move towards a new career path related to caring and helping and supporting other people. He wants you to know that he's really sorry for how long it's taken him. He's been through a lot of pain. He wasn't in his own power. He's stepped into it now. He was also too immature. He didn't know what he wanted. He wasn't ready for this. And the intensity of the connection really frightened him. I feel like he ran hard from this connection. But he's processed that now. 10, even though he's carrying that weight, he's doing that work, 10 is completion. Sorry, that sound is my dog growling. So he's not sleeping anymore, he's awake, and he wants you to know that he's ready to come together. And if you haven't already heard from him, I feel like you might have. I'm not getting anything else. No. So Virgo, Cancerian, you're coming together soon. Let's do another one. Okay, so we've got the Knight of Wands, which is Sagittarius. And the Page of Cups, which is any water signs. That could be Scorpio, Cancerian, or Pisces. I'm feeling very strongly a Pisces, but it could be any of those. Let's have a look. So even before we begin, Arthur's telling me that this gentleman's returned after a very long hiatus. He's been abroad, he has been travelling, and you have been on his mind non-stop, and you've been sending him a lot of healing. You've been doing a lot of work in his absence to activate his lights, to you really helped drive him forward on this journey. He's stepped into it. We've got the Fool here. You know, he's new to the spiritual path, but he's stepped into that now. It's taken him a really long time, but this travelling that he's done has really brought him a lot closer to spirit. I feel like he had some really magical experiences whilst he's been away, and these were deeply connected to you. When you're meditating and you're thinking about him, you know, this is connecting with him, and he's noticed it. Now, he's finally released this avoidance, you know, this running. He's released that. He's ready to take this new journey with you. He's not come full circle yet. He's still got some stuff to deal with, but he is on his way. He is at the beginning of his spiritual journey. He's just starting to embrace it. He had a vision of you while he was away. He had a really magical experience, and you came to him in this vision. And even though you've been popping in and out of his head for a very long time, he was avoiding it. He was avoiding it. He felt a lot of rejection, a lot of hurt, not from you, but this caused him to build barriers, and he didn't allow himself to embrace that connection. But he is now. He's at the beginning of this journey. He's waking up. But this stuff he's got to deal with. He's not come full circle yet. He's not learned all of his lessons. I feel like this karma is related to the direction he's taking, and I feel like he's made some really bad decisions about his career choices, about who he spends time with in the past. He's been stuck in some really dark situations that now that he's returning to his home country, he's having to face, and he's very unsettled from the perspective of home. He's not in. Hold on. This man has a very difficult home life. He doesn't feel connected to his family. He feels a bit like an island, and returning from his journey has been difficult because his eyes have been opened to a much bigger picture, and it's made him realise how small his world was. So he's not happy about being back. It's made him feel deflated. I don't think you're going to hear from him immediately, but he wants you to know he is on this journey, and he has released this avoidance, and he's now starting to confront his feelings, and he just needs a bit of space to do his thing and to complete this karmic cycle, which I'm feeling very strongly was related to I feel like he had the word immoral is standing out. His career choices were not healthy from a moral standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, and he's released that for the most part. But in having returned home, he's kind of being faced with this difficulty again, and he's he's trying to make this new way. He's stepping onto this new path. He wants you to know that he that you're special. He always knew you were special. But yeah, he'd built barriers and he wasn't ready. He's almost ready. He's coming. So, oh, hold on. You will hear from him very soon. He may not come to you with something fully committed to begin with. I think he will tentatively open the lines of communication because he's uncertain of how you feel about him. But he's very excited to reconnect with you, and you're going to hear from him very soon. I'm feeling like there's a lot of music around him as well, and this has been a really important part of your connection. So if there's any songs specifically that remind you of him, please share those with him when he gets in touch, because I feel like he will find a great deal of synchronicity with that. So we've got the Page of Scrolls here, which could be any air signs. That's Gemini, Libra or Aquarius. And we've got the Page of Stones, which could be any earth sign. That's Taurus, Virgo or Capricorn. Same card. So we've seen a lot of these messages today were, not all of them were from awakened twins, but a lot of them are. We're seeing a lot of forward movement. This guy isn't awake. Wow, he's in a much better place. So if your air sign divine masculine moved away because of this karmic situation, we're seeing that released. He's had this tower moment. He's had a really explosive breakdown in that relationship. This card upright, it's a really interesting version of the Lover's card. The Lover's card can often mean choices, but in here you see a couple with this lady waiting passively. And I feel like for the twin flame journey, this is particularly powerful. And it's in reverse, followed by the Tower, which shows me, you know, this karmic situation has exploded and been disintegrated. It's done. And he is in a very happy place right now. Okay, we've got this beautiful sun card, and you see here these two birds coming together, and the sun's rays shining down, blessing them. I'm feeling this union is particularly blessed. And much like the message before, he has released avoidance. He's done with that running. He's ready to see what's there for him. He's ready to step into this light, to this joyful, abundant light, and to union. This guy is definitely coming for you. Let me see what Arthur's saying. His karmic was especially toxic. She was mentally very, very unwell. And he didn't want to leave her because he cared about her. He's a very caring person, and he was frightened of what she would do if he would go. But they've had that tower moment. And he's finally stepped into his self-worth, which has allowed him to make decisions that serve him. And he's left her in a position of safety with someone else to support her. But he's felt a lot of guilt about moving away from that situation. This tower moment has been really hard for him. He's excited to talk to you about it, because I feel like it was... It was as you described it was to him. I feel like you got quite deep in terms of, I don't think you mentioned twin flame to him, but you mentioned karma, soul journeys. I feel like this person, the divine feminine here, this earth sign, is very psychic and intuitive, and he was aware of that. And you predicted this situation, and it's panned out exactly as you predicted. That she was emotionally manipulative, and that she exacerbated her mental condition to keep him trapped. He's so excited about moving towards you. you're going to hear from him really soon. He's in a much better place and he's ready to do the work he needs to do. I feel like there is still work to be done with this guy. He's not awakened. When you come back together, there's going to be a lot of triggering. There's going to be some upheaval. But you're ready. Both of you are ready for this. There's a real sense now of stepping into a completely new picture together. And he loves your light. He loves your energy. Even though he's not awakened, he knows he feels so different around you. He feels so grounded and just incredibly warm. And he's old enough to recognise that that's rare, that he's not had that feeling with someone else. I feel like he's communicated it to you in that way before. He's, you're one of a kind. And he loves your energy. You just make him feel whole. But he needs to be whole in himself. He's got these self-worth issues, which is what kept him in this place, taking care of someone else before himself, even though he knew that was, not good for him and it was over. But the divine feminine here, this earth sign, can come at this now from a much more gentle and playful place to help him deal with those triggers. You're going to trigger him way more than he's going to trigger you, because I feel like the divine feminine in this situation, Arthur's telling me she's done a lot more work. She's very far ahead on the journey. I feel like this guy may have already reached out to you as well. If you're not already in touch, you are. I feel like he's already reached out, and you can trust that connection. If you're seeing triggering now, he's asking you to be patient and stay in that balanced energy, because that you need to work through this together from a calm place. I hope that helped. So we've got a divine masculine that's a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio or Pisces. That's the Page of Mirrors or Cups, as it's usually called. And a Cancerian. So 2 water signs. Okay, Arthur's telling me there's a big, big age gap in this relationship. And this has been one of the reasons that your divine masculine counterpart has stayed away. He's not just intimidated, but he's never been sure how that relationship can actually work. So his perspective has changed, and you're going to hear from him very soon. I feel like you haven't already. However, he's not ready to step into a full union yet. When you come together, you're going to really trigger each other. And you've both got work to do independently. He is, you're both very, very sensitive people, and he is still finding his feet. His perspective has changed, his spiritual perspective has changed, and he's really excited to talk to you about it, to share his new findings with you, and you're going to hear from him, but I don't want you to get too excited, because he is going to run again, and when he runs again, you need to trust that that part of the journey serves you. I feel like this divine feminine now, she's gonna be able to accept this from a much more balanced place this time. It's not going to hurt in the same way. And he wants you to know, his higher self wants you to know that this communication serves, this reconnection serves you both, but so will the separation. And he feels like you knowing this in advance is going to help you cope with that, because it's really, really hurt you in the past. And he has got this habit of just vanishing with no communication. But he's got a lot of stuff to focus on in terms of grounding himself and getting a much clearer perspective in his direction and career. And you actually still need to do, the divine feminine here still needs to do some inner work. There's inner work for both of you. So you're going to come together. There's going to be a lot of triggers, but it's not going to be as explosive this time. And I don't feel like he will just vanish completely. I feel like there'll be there'll be a lot more clarity for you. and you'll be able to have a conversation about it. But he's not ready. It's not that he doesn't want you and he doesn't care, because he feels that connection, but he is younger than you. He's on a different part of his journey, and he's still got work to do on himself. He's not ready to focus on union, and he needs you to be patient. He does want you to be happy. He's happy for you to go off and live your life and to do your own inner work. It hurts him to say that, but his higher self, and he will be hurt. So his higher self saying me, he will be hurt, but that's pain he can cope with, and that will be part of his learning. So don't hold back on your life for him. Trust that you can still be happy without him and that you will reconnect later. But I'm feeling like for you guys, there's going to be a fair gap. Arthur's telling me it's going to be years rather than months. And yeah, so he just needs you to know that he cares for you deeply, and he feels like you're always there with him, even though he's not fully awakened. He's had this beautiful change of perspective, and he's describing you as like his guardian angel. Like he just feels your energy. He feels the healing vibe you're sending him. He feels, I feel like you've sent him a lot of communication he's ignored, with lots of messages of love, light, advice, and he loves those messages. Please don't stop sending them. Even though you're not always getting response, they have helped him tremendously. So I hope that one helps. I'm sorry it's not the news you wanted about union, but I hope that gives you the strength to be able to move forward when that separation comes again. You know, he wants that for you. He doesn't want you to be held back by him. He wants you to trust that you've both got, you know, other relationships and issues that you need to explore. But there is going to be a temporary reconnection. Okay, so the next one we've got the King of Wands, which is a Leo. And we've got another Cancerian, Divine Feminine. So Divine Masculine is Leo. Divine Feminine is Cancerian. So Arthur's telling me this guy has been particularly stubborn. He reconnects with you. He's passionate, lively, charming. He's super creative in terms of how he treats you. You know, you feel like your time with him is magical, but it feels on the surface a bit shallow, and he disappears again. And he's not given you the he's not given you clarity. He's not been honest about his feelings at all, and that's why he's coming through with this divine message. Arthur's telling me that, you know, you've held this torch for him for such a long time. And even though in your wisdom you really feel that this connection is there because you can sense it when you're with him, he's not given you anything concrete to ground that feeling in reality. And, you know, sometimes you feel a bit lost and in doubt with it. Now, he is, you know, his higher self is really cheering him on. It's really prodding him into awakening, but he's not ready for that yet. He's not made a decision about you. He's very happy to stand in his own power, and that's a very grounded, earthly power. He's not actually stepping into his own Leo, King of Wands energy, and this spiritual energy. He's not there yet. He's got his own work to do, and he's not going to let that go anytime soon. He's refusing to see. We've got a lot of blocked energies here with reverse cards. We've got the Two of Swords reversed, the Four of Pentacles reversed, and the Eight of Swords. He's not going to give this up. He's not going to give his feelings up anytime soon. And he needs the Divine Feminine. He needs her to move on with her own journey. And his higher self is telling me like this resistant energy comes from both of you. So the Cancerian the Cancerian Divine Feminine in this situation, she's not in her own power either. She's a lot wiser and more spiritually aware than him, but she's in a lot of pain. And this pain, this doubt, is what holds the connection back until she surrenders to this journey and loves herself unconditionally. Because I feel like she's the one with self-worth issues. This guy, this divine masculine, is actually very, very grounded and very, very confident in himself. I feel like he's a very, very charming person. I'm also getting that he's got slight issues with narcissism, which the divine feminine has found particularly difficult. It's not serious, not to the point of it being toxic, but because she's got self-worth issues, she's an enabler. And, you know, that's part of your mirroring and that's part of your lessons. The divine feminine here needs to step into her own power before this union can move forward. He's not there yet, but her energy isn't, you know, driving this union forward either. For twin flames, you both have to do that work. And as you do that work, it's almost like you come closer and closer together. And one might be further up, but, you know, you're still, it's like a pyramid. You're rising up to meet one another. And I feel like, you know, because he's got self-worth, he's got this inner confidence, even though he's not connected to spirit. He's the stronger person at the moment. And the divine feminine is in a lot of pain. And his higher self is here to say, you need to relax into this journey. You need to surrender to this experience because I'm having a good life and you need to have a good life as well. You deserve a good life. But you have an attachment to me which is not healthy. He needs you to step into your own unconditional love. You can't love someone if you don't have that unconditional love for yourself first. So the message here is that the divine feminine is actually slowing down the journey herself because she's not doing that self-healing and that inner work. She's also refusing to acknowledge the truth of this journey. And you can't. But, you know, you can't expect union. And there's so many divine feminines who, you know, will pine for their twin, but they're not putting in the work. They're not finding that inner balance. When you have that inner balance, you don't need him. You can love him unconditionally from a distance without feeling that painful longing. And this divine feminine is a long way off that. Because he's a little bit more confident in himself and enjoying his own life and making strides with abundance, and he's not connected spiritually, you know, whilst he thinks of her, his conscious self hasn't made a decision about her. You know, he's not acknowledging this connection yet, but his higher self is here to tell you that, you know, the divine feminine, you're holding it back yourself. I feel like you've almost bombarded him with too much, and he's rejected that. You know, because he's stronger, he's seen it as a weakness. He's seen your neediness and attachment as a weakness, and he's rejected it. And you're on his mind, and he does think of you, and he did like you. But I feel like the situation between you became very difficult because you were mirroring this, you know, attachment problems between you. And he has barriers. He's much more balanced and doesn't feel as desperate for that attachment and that kind of powerful attachment, neediness that was coming from the divine feminine has been a real turn off. So he is your twin flame, but he's not acknowledging or seeing that. He's not acknowledging a connection, but his higher self is asking you to please step into your own power because you're holding this connection back. And he loves you deeply and you're always connected. And you're being guided to do that inner work, to do that self-healing now. You've been in pain for too long, divine feminine, he's saying. And he doesn't want you to keep giving away your power, is what I'm hearing. I hope that one helped. So let's see who's next. So this is a Scorpio male and a Leo divine feminine. That's King of Cups, King of Wands. Right, so this Leo divine feminine, wow, she's I know she's a fire sign, but man, she is impatient and fiery. I feel like there was a really explosive ending, which we've got the King of Wands again. Yes, there's been a really explosive scenario which brought this relationship to an end and led to the running, like major triggers here. And, you know, Leo energy for a Scorpio man is very powerful. There was a lot of deception, and I feel like that's come from both sides of the fence. The divine masculine was deceitful, but, you know, you really hurt each other. And actually, it's the divine masculine that's, again, way more ahead of the game in terms of stepping into his inner knowing. He's on that spiritual journey, and he has self-worth. He, like the guy we've just had before us, who was actually Leo, but he's much more sensitive than his Leo counterpart, and he's really struggled with this Leo energy, the pride, the stubbornness, all of the negatively aspected parts of Leo personality. He's in a much more balanced place. This interaction really cut him deeply. And he knows he hurt you too. He wants you to know he's sorry. He accepts and understands his part in it. He knows he stung you bad, because that's in his nature. You know, he's also, you know, you're mirroring each other. And there's a lot of vengefulness and resentment and bitterness that you're carrying forward from childhood wounds, and you're triggering these traits in one another. And it culminated in you hurting each other. I feel like both of you were seeing other people to avoid this connection. I feel like both of you ran almost at the same time. And, you know, he needs you to know that he is on his spiritual path. And actually the intensity and pain from this connection hurt him deeply, that he stayed in this very independent place. I don't feel like he's moved on relationship-wise at all, and he doesn't intend to. He's in a balanced place now, but he's not awakened, and he's scared to approach you. So you're not going to get any communication from him. Much like the one we had before us, you need to rise up to meet him, because you still don't see... he's showing me that you still don't see how you triggered him. You know, the behaviour that you disliked about him, you're actually projecting, because you know, these are negative inner traits that you have yourself. And again, we have a divine feminine here that isn't doing that work and is holding union back with her own resistance. He wants you to know that he's sorry, and he does forgive you. He understands, his higher self understands what this journey means and the purpose of you coming together. He does believe that you can both heal from this and you can move forward, but there is a tremendous amount of work to do. And he's so much in his own balance right now that he's not going to be moving towards this connection anytime soon. But he is waking up, and he is doing that work, and he doesn't consciously realise he's doing it for you, but it was those triggers, that painful situation that triggered him to do this work. So he needs you to know that you know, even though you hurt him in 3D, in 5D, he accepts that he needed that lesson, and that was part of his learning, and he's doing that learning, and he's calling you to do the same. So that was Scorpio Leo. What a powerful combo. Right, I'm going to do a couple more. I am feeling quite... I'm going to do that again because I don't know. Too many came out. I'm feeling quite drained. So we have a Page of Stones, Pentacles even, that's Taurus, Virgo or Capricorn. And we have a Knight of Pentacles or Stones, which is a Virgo. So 2 earth signs here. And I'm getting immediately with this connection that I've got tingles all over me. A very, very physically abundant. I feel like the two of you together are really a power couple. I want to say power couple. You guys know how to manifest. And you have a lot in common in terms of your positive outlet. This is what drew you to one another. Okay, so this divine masculine hasn't been at all honest with you. And I feel like you guys are actually in communication. And he's still dealing with a karmic situation. And he knows he doesn't want her. He knows she is not right for him. And he knows that he needs to move towards something else. But he's not discussed this with you. And I feel like he's scared to broach it. So I feel like you two are actually perhaps even already seeing each other. And he's with someone else. We've got the Queen of Cups here in reverse. And we've got the Lovers here. And as I said earlier with one of the messages, you know, in this deck, it's very clear what's going on. You've got two people here and you've got this lady waiting down here. It's about choices. And he's not made that choice. And he hasn't discussed this with you. You know, I feel like your intuition has guessed that he keeps disappearing for a reason and that he's not committing for a reason. I feel like neither of you has actually been honest about your feelings yet. But he's not moving towards a union with you anytime soon because he's in this karmic situation and his higher self is asking you to give him the space to work that out. He's kept his distance because he's not ready to discuss it. He knows that when he crosses that line into commitment, he's going to have a very frank conversation with you. And he's not ready to let go of this arrangement that he has with his karmic. There's children involved in this as well. I'm feeling like, sorry, a child involved in this, a very young child. And he is, he's not in love with this woman, but he is attached to her. He's attached to her in a variety of ways. There's a real maternal energy from her. I feel like he has major abandonment issues, and she's filled a gap in his soul. You know, their connection is soul deep. It's not twin flame, but it is soul deep, and she serves a purpose in his learning. I feel like both of you have met fairly recently within the last year. And this has been very on-off. When you're together, it's very intense, and then he vanishes. And it's because he's been very on-off with this relationship, and he has a young child with this woman. I mean, I'm under the age of 3. He's not moving towards this connection with you with any integrity. And you need to do your own work. His higher self is deeply, deeply wounded. Is describing that this man is deeply wounded, and he doesn't understand unconditional love. He has no understanding of it. He only understands attachment, an unstable attachment, and the divine feminine is in a much more grounded place. She would never ever have let anybody else treat her like this. But she, like, you know, all us twin flames you can relate to. It's an overwhelming magnetic attraction. And she's very stuck right now. And he's asking her to do her own work too. Again, we see another really unhealthy attachment in this situation. I feel like the divine feminine is also, or was until recently, in a relationship, so she's kind of given him a little bit more leeway, but I feel like she's left the relationship. So she's left her relationship thinking he would come and meet her and do the same if or whatever it was. I feel like he's not told you he's in a relationship, but he may have said, I'm kind of seeing someone, you know, he's got a kid, we're on off, but he's not been honest about how back and forth that situation is. He's not been honest with you. There's a lot he hasn't told you. So you both need to do your own work, these two guys. I'm sorry that that's not better news. I hate giving bad news to twin flames. I know it's not what you want to hear, but guys, when you're feeling pain in separation, you know, there's a powerful message in that pain, which is you are not attached healthily, that your love isn't conditional, and that you don't love yourself. Because when you love yourself, nothing from outside of you has the power to cripple you emotionally in its absence. That's not what unconditional love is. That's conditional love, okay? That's, you know, I want you, I need you here, and I can't be happy without you. That's conditional love. And that's not healthy. And that's the whole point of the twin flame journey, is for you each individually to, you know, because your twin flame is you, your mirrors, you share the same soul, you're dealing with the same issue, the same pains, and they're there to you know, mirror and trigger those inner wounds so that you can both heal from them. So if you're, you know, upset about hearing these messages, know that you need to hear them so that you can come into union, because until you can love yourselves, you're not going to come into union. And you're separated because you don't unconditionally love yourselves. That's how it works. So we've got the Knight of Cups here, Pisces, Divine Masculine, and the King of Swords, which is an Aquarius, Divine Feminine. So let's see what... Okay, so this couple are... Oh, this Divine Masculine's lovely. He's so romantic. Oh, what a lovely combination this is. Okay, I feel like you two really have already spilled your guts to one another, and we've got the King of Wands come up here. There's such passionate energy, so much like really romantic. Look, we've got the Knight of Cups again. So much romance and genuine heartfelt emotion between you. I feel like you've had those conversations. You've recognised this soul deep connection. I feel like this is a very awakened Divine Masculine, but there is an age gap here that's interfering, and there's also from the Divine Masculine side, he's not happy in himself at all. He has majorly low self-esteem. He lacks confidence. He lacks direction. But you two connect spiritually and with powerfully loving communication. But there's a toxicity to it because neither party has been honest to a degree. I feel like... Just check with Arthur. Okay, so it's not dishonesty. Arthur's telling me that when you two come together, it is actually so intense that it's triggering almost a self-sabotage type energy. Neither of you can trust that connection. Even though it's the most powerful, most beautiful, intense thing, neither of you can trust it. And it's because you're not whole in yourselves. Much as I was saying, this is going to be the last one I do, by the way. Much as I was saying before, about this twin flame journey and being whole in ourselves. And you two really need to pull yourselves together, because I feel like you swing between this place of being really, really intense, really, really honest, telling each other how much you love each other and it being really amazing, and then having this really overwhelming feel of abandonment and just self-sabotaging. And I feel like you've both run at some points. And, you know, you're drawn back together. And I feel like this cycle is repeated many, many, many times. So, you know, you both need to do that inner work as well. I feel like I'm just repeating the same messages over and over again tonight. A lot of twins that both, you know, need to do this work. Yeah. But Arthur's showing me that, you know, when you two do come together, and you will come together, the Divine Feminine in particular has taken much bigger strides forward. She is She writes her feelings down. The Divine Feminine in this situation has written pages and pages of love letters to this guy. And you need to know that he adores them. It's one of the things he loves about you the most. You make him feel so special. He's so in love with your prose. He's describing it as literally like just moving words. He's so grateful for how you connect with him. No one's ever made him feel that special. He loves this about you. I do see these guys coming into union. You know, they're both fairly awake. I feel like the Divine Masculine is actually already very, very spiritual. But he is scared as hell. He needs you to know that he is scared, and he's going to need a lot of reassurance from you. And I feel like as well, this Divine Feminine, he's showing me that she's a double-edged sword. She can make him feel like the most important person on the planet, but that sword cuts both ways. She can also be very, very cutting in her communication. You know, that's what we're seeing here with this Seven of Wands and this man, you know, just under attack from swords, just like, oh my God, you know, they're coming at me. And this kind of, you know, this polarity in the energy is very, very difficult for him because he's much more emotionally sensitive and he is a wounded person. I feel like this Divine Masculine has never known real love outside of himself, and that's why he's drawn so powerfully. You know, this King of Wands, the ultimate soul connection, spirit, this is the master of spirit. You know, he knows that you're special. He knows that you're something else, but he's in a dark place right now, and he cannot cope with the intensity of that connection and that double-edged sword element. So the Divine Feminine, she really needs to release. He's asking her to release her own inner wounding, because, you know, when she comes at him with these triggers and you're kind of mirroring one another, he by nature is a bit more sensitive. He's not as cutting, and he's struggled with, I feel like the people he grew up with were also very cutting. This is an energy he finds toxic and he's trying to reject. It's an energy he's had to cope with his whole life. And he sees this, he sees these traits in himself sometimes because it's how he's been conditioned, but he's releasing that programming. He is releasing that programming. And the Divine Feminine needs to do the same. Both of these twins have work to do. We're really seeing a pattern in that. Okay, I hope this has been really helpful, guys. I hope some of you had messages that have helped you. As I said, I see so many twin flame readings online. They're like, he's coming for you. You know, everyone's got really positive messages, and I'm just being real. You know, we're all on this journey, and we all know it's hard, and ultimately it's about doing work on ourselves, and we can't lose sight of that. It's not all love and roses and romance. Ultimately, it's about falling in love with yourself first. And if you can't be in love with yourself first, you know, you're going to find it very difficult to come into union. You will have temporary unions, you will trigger one another, and you will separate again. And if you're not doing that in a healing, and you're not coming towards one another from a place of self-love and self-acceptance. So, you know, I don't know how these messages are going to be received. I worry that people don't want the bad news, that when you're so desperate for that union that you just want to focus on all of the hopeful messages. But, you know, I'm bringing you real messages because I know that's what serves you, and that's what you need. So that you can move forward on this journey. You know, this longing and avoidance of reality is what keeps you trapped in separation. It's what keeps you from moving forward. So please do comment and let me know what you think. Like, share and subscribe if you can. If you're interested in what decks I use, that's down below. And the same for private readings. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.